Hey everybody, it's Dr. Angela Cudger, and we are now going to talk about another universal law tonight. So, as soon as you jump on this live stream, whether you are live on Facebook, IG, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you are, let me know that you can hear me and let me know that you can see me, right? Hey, for Scorpio, thank you for joining me. Hey, the Bible consultant, thank you for joining me. We are going to be continuing our series on the universal laws. Tonight, we are discussing the law of polarity. The law of polarity. Now, we've been going over all of the universal laws of success. And for you guys on IG, just know that over on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and some of the other places, there are slides. So I'm going to be reading the slides to you guys. But if you want to see it and be a part of that conversation, you can certainly go to legacywellnesstribe.com and it'll drop you right into that group and allow you to be a part of the conversation. If you're on Facebook, if you're on IG or any of the other places, let me know that you can hear me. Let me know that you can see me, and then I will get started with the actual content. Now, if you're on this live stream and you've been waiting for this law of polarity, just know that we've covered the majority of the universal laws of success. If you are not sure about what the universal laws are, I am going to be discussing a little bit about that tonight. I may go a little bit into why we have several retrogrades right now and the closing of the 9-9 portal. All right, she says, I can hear and see you, Doc. Excellent. All right, so we can actually get into the content. Before we do, I have had quite a few of you guys start to inbox me or send me things, text messages, and things like that about metaphysics, about the universal laws, and about how to continue your studying on this particular topic. And one of the things that I want to invite you to do is be a part of our wellness and wealth retreat. That retreat is happening December 18th through the 23rd. And now you can finance that retreat through Affirm. Okay. You can finance the flight as well as the actual retreat participation itself. And if you're wanting information about that, after this live stream, I will put that retreat link in the comments for you to go ahead and look at all of the things that are going to be offered. That retreat is going to be in Dominical, Costa Rica at the end of this year on the day of the last portal opening, which is 12/22/22. Okay, so if you're wanting to learn more about how you can continue this journey, how you can continue your learning about the universal laws of success and about the different things that you want to learn in your life, you can continue to do that through the retreat or something like that. Now, I know you guys have a ton of questions and things that you have inboxed me. I do not give out information in the inbox because I don't know the person's full situation and I don't know what you practice or what you don't practice. And so I am very careful not to give out information in that way or in a way that feels not as effective for me. Okay. So, but if you want to get more information from me, if you want to learn more from me concerning metaphysics and different things like that, that is what a retreat is for. Okay. All right. So, anyway, let's get into the rest of the content. Again, if you're watching on IG, just know that there are slides in some other places. And so you can go into the legacywellnesstribe.com and it'll drop you into where we are and looking at this. Real quick, one of the last things I want to say, two things. One, if you want to join our community and get text messages from me every day, affirmative text messages, affirmations, you want to get digital recipe cards, you want to get quite a few other things, you can text hashtag legacy to 404-738-6301. That's 404-738-6301. Okay. And so moving forward with the content, the last thing that I want to say is that we are open and enrolling for cohort 33. And because cohort 33 is so special, we are offering grants for this particular class. So if you want to learn about holistic health and wellness, you want to learn about spirituality and holistic principles, and you want to do it through the only minority owned accredited school that offers this, you want to go through Legacy. Okay. You can get information from that for that at discoverlegacy.info. If you're on here, you went to Legacy, make sure you put your cohort in the comments so everybody knows that it's you. Before we get started, please share this out. Let someone else know that this information is going forward. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So when we're talking about the universal laws, we're talking about the universal laws of success. Now, there are, depending on what resource you read, there are 12, 13, some people say 15. For the purposes of these live streams, we have covered 12, or we're going to cover 12 universal laws of success. Wherever you find massive, consistent, unyielding success, you will always find someone living inside of the universal laws. The universal laws are intrinsic, they are unchanging, they are immutable, which means they don't shift or twist or start or stop for anything that we have going on. They just happen for us. And they are intuitive to us as human beings on this planet. So when we're talking about the universal laws and we're talking about this from a metaphysical standpoint, we are talking about laws that govern our lives, laws that govern how we manifest, laws that govern the things that are sacred within us and how we bring these gifts, these talents, these abilities forward to use them to be able to serve the planet and give more and live out our greatest expression, right? We said when we're talking about the law of vibration and the law of attraction, we specifically talked about how each one of us is a piece of an incredible tapestry created by infinite source, created by infinite intelligence, created by God, for all of us to be able to express something creative in that particular tapestry. And so we're supposed to be different. We're all supposed to look different. That's why we have different fingerprints. That's why we have different hues in our skin. That's why we can have our hair different. That's why we can do a lot of different things with these physical bodies. That is also why our bodies can be easily reshaped. They can be changed. They can be altered. A lot of different things can happen because we are here to express out in our own way our highest and best version of ourselves. And the universal laws allows us to do that seamlessly. The universal laws allows us to understand that there is so much going on that is rigged in our favor that we don't have to necessarily be concerned about something not working, okay? And so if you haven't watched all of the other universal laws, we've covered the law of vibration, we covered the law of attraction, we've covered the law of divine oneness already, we covered the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, we've already covered the grandfather of all universal laws, which is the law of cause and effect, and we intuitively know the effect or result that's going to happen when we cause that thing to happen. We already know something in us reaches out and wants this effect, so much so that we get in alignment with the cause. This happens with success. This happens in relationships. This happens in everything that we do. And from there, all the other universal laws we start to align ourselves with, okay? We're talking about the law of polarity tonight. The next law we're going to cover tomorrow is the law of gender, the law of feminine energy, masculine energy, and how we all carry both, and how to begin to manage both of those energies, right? Because depending on how you were raised, depending on everything that's going on with you, some people exhibit more of one energy than they do of another. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what that means tomorrow, what the law of gender means tomorrow, and what happens when the masculine energy or the feminine energy is off, or there's a lack of balance between these two kinds of energy. And knowing that everyone carries both, we choose to express one more than the other. And in many cases, remember we said at the beginning of all of this, when we first started doing these laws, we said that we usually spend the last half or the latter half of our lives releasing and unlearning things that we learned in the first 5 years of our lives. And so when we're talking about the expression of masculine and feminine energy, we're going to get into the conversation of the things that we see and what's impressed upon our subconscious mind early in life that then shows us the energies that we exhibit throughout our lives, okay? And the things that we kind of allow throughout our lives. So we're going to have a great conversation tomorrow night as well. Tonight, we're covering the law of polarity. We've already covered the law of rhythm. It works in tandem with the law of polarity. And so we're going to talk in detail about how those two laws work together. The law of rhythm has everything to do with there to be ebbs and flows, high tides and low tides, peaks and valleys in all of our lives. And it works together with the law of polarity. And I'm going to show you guys how those two fit together. And then how you can use those two laws together, align them to begin to manifest the exact life that you desire. We've already covered the law of inspired action. I absolutely love that law. The law of compensation and how the universe governs your money and how you bring money in, how you create use value, how you raise your use value on the planet for the universe to start to compensate you more, for naturally for higher dollar opportunities to be attracted to you. And so we talked a little bit about that. Remember the example with the jackhammer, right? The switch just goes on and off. The person's not raising their use value by using a jackhammer, right? They can be easily replaced. And so it's not just about what you do on this planet, it's about how you do it and how easily you can or cannot be replaced, how unique you are. And we do that by raising our use value. And the universe says that the laws that govern this universe will naturally raise our compensation as a result of that. So we talked a little bit about that. We talked about the law of relativity, how everything is relative and how we see things. And then we talked about the law of correspondence, how everything and everyone is our mirror. And if we don't enjoy what we are receiving back from the world, it is because we are withholding that exact thing from the planet as well. And so we talked about how to become the reflection, right? Become what we want to see reflected back to us, right? And we only draw to ourselves what we mirror out. The universe will not give us back something that we have not cultivated, something that we have not created, and something that we don't mirror ourselves. And so we talked a little bit in detail about how we keep things away, right? Or how we stop or block things because of the law of correspondence. We're always in the energy of manifestation, right? We are swimming in this inexhaustible rich substance, and we're constantly sending out thoughts, right? And I'm going to explain to you tonight what your brain does when you're sending out these thoughts all the time, and how you could begin to lay a different pathway within your brain that then tells your that then tells the universal law that this wealth, abundance, riches, higher use value is my default, right? So you can begin to create a new pathway in the way that you think and have it set there permanently for the universe to serve you in that way. Really quickly, I'm running to the comments. She says she can hear me, she can see me. Great. Good evening, Tari. Hey, thank you for being here. Someone says blessings to all, blessings to you, Kiki Clark. Hey to you guys over on Instagram. Thank you for sharing this out. If you haven't already yet, share this out so that someone else can get the information, and then put shared in the comments. So thank you, Ray J, for doing that. She says, use value portion of the law regarding compensation was a huge lesson for me. Listen, man or woman, the only way this planet is advanced is for each and every one of us to be too big for our space. Remember, we talked about that with I think I gave you guys an analogy of like a baby, right? So you don't go and buy a newborn baby, right? 10-year-old clothes or clothes that would fit a 10-year-old or an adolescent, right? And say, oh, they'll grow into it. I mean, maybe eventually, but why would we give them something that they can't use right now? You know? And so we normally wouldn't do this. And so the universe won't do that for us either. It won't pour out to you these massive, big opportunities when you have not proven that you can be a steward over the smaller things. That's always how this universe works. Always. Whether you're advancing to 4D, 5D, 6D, sixth dimension, whatever, the universe will always meet you where you are at first and then allow you, give you the time to grow. If every single thing we wanted and thought about, good or bad, if every single thing we thought about or wanted, good or bad, manifested immediately, I don't know about you, but there's some things that I can think of that I probably would regret, right? And so because of that, the universe creates a fail safe for us Divine intelligence is that brilliant that it will create, and it cares enough about what you desire, what I desire, that it creates a fail safe to say, don't give it immediately. We need to be sure that this is what he or she desires to manifest, right? And it takes time to disrupt the current around you. And each of you has the prayer and the incantation that I share with you, where you say you understand that it takes time to disrupt the current. But once I disrupt the current, I'm telling the universe, this is my default. This is who I am now. This is what I desire. So you can hasten my manifestation. And according to the universe, the more you desire that thing, the more it says it makes more urgent the need to bring it to you. This is not just metaphysics, this is quantum physics as well. This is science, right? Anytime there is a worn pathway in the world, or a worn area, or like what would be like a fault, or what would be like a hole, the universe abhors a hole, and it wants to feel it as if it were a vacuum there, right? And so it wants to put something in that hole, whether it is water, whether it is dirt, whether it is a plant, rocks, things that fall from trees, things that animals, or things that make their homes in these holes. The universe always wants to fill a gap. So when there is a demand in your life, the universe so vehemently wants to supply that demand that it has to make haste to bring it to you. And so it wants to be sure that this is what you desire. So on IG, hey, Miss Martin 1111, she says, is there a certain order we should watch our previous lessons? So one of the things that I have done, that's a very good question. So one of the things that I have done is I have gone and pinned the lessons in order at the top of the Legacy Wellness Tribe. So if you go to legacywellnesstribe.com, it's going to drop you into that Facebook group. And then at the top of that group, whether you're on your cell phone or whether you're on your laptop, you can literally scroll across and watch them one at a time. So they're all there. They're all organized. Everything should be there in order for you to watch. And then if you want the slides, I gave out the phone number for you to get the slides, because there are a lot of people who are like, I just want to continue my learning. I want to watch the videos. I want to do the assignments. And I just want to take all of this in, right? 12 universal laws is a lot to take in. And so I want to make sure that you're welcome. She says, thank you on Facebook. Yes, they are organized at the top of that group. All right. So when we're looking at the law of polarity, Miss Martin, let me know that answered your question on IG. Okay. And I'll give you guys the phone number before I get off so that you can be able to get those slides. I don't want to send out 12 different messages. So once the law of gender is complete tomorrow, you can look for a link with a folder with all 12 lessons inside of it so that you can download the slides and use them. Okay. All right. So let's get into the law of polarity. We said the universal laws are intrinsic, unchanging, unyielding, right? So when we're talking about the law of polarity, the law of polarity states that there is an opposite of everything in our world. This is necessary for balance within the universe. Okay. This is necessary for balance within the universe. Everything has a duality and a built-in opposite that cannot exist without the other. Everything has its opposite. I want us to understand this tonight, because some of us have lost people who were significant to us. Some people have lost tremendously, whether it's in business and life or whatever. Some people have won a lot as well. Some people have had a thriving life as well. There is an opposite state to each of these. And we're going to talk about the actions that trigger the opposites. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight, and how if you're in an opposite state, how you can understand the use of the law of rhythm to then reactivate the law of polarity and allow you to move out of the state that you're in and into a different state. Okay. So law of polarity says opposite to everything. For every death, there is also a birth, right? For everything that we think is detrimental, there is something that is beneficial. Okay. So put that in the comments. For every detriment, there is also a benefit, right? Put that in the comments. For every detriment, there is also a benefit. Okay. There is not one without the other. When there is one without the other, there is also an imbalance in the universe. So there has to be something else that happens to balance the energy out. It says if one side has the potential to exist, the opposite expression has to also exist, right? For every detriment, there is also a benefit, okay? Even if we don't intuitively know or understand, now you get how this universal law works. So where you think there is just detriment, like the law of rhythm, the sun, there's nowhere on the planet where the sun never comes out. As long as it is a continent, as long as it is a body of water, as long as it is a living thing and it can experience nature, it will surely experience the sun and the rain. It will surely experience the moon, right? Those are part of our universal laws, right? And so when we're looking at this, it's in the same vein as the law of rhythm. Same spectrum, opposite ends, and it's easy to flip flop between them. Let me give you an example of this, right? It can be easy to flip flop between love and hate. It can be, as a matter of fact, I think how many of you guys have ever seen, and just say yes, me, or put your hand up in the comments. How many of you have ever seen someone love a thing or a person and then hate that same thing or that same person? It could be a characteristic in someone that you thought was cute at first. It could be the person themselves that you're like, I don't think I like them that much. Really can't stand this, right? She says it's a thin line between love and hate. That is the law of polarity. We intuitively know it. We live it. We live it. We know it. That's why these universal laws are like, they're not mind blowing. They really are common sense. When we really stop to think about it, we know it. We live it. We see it all the time. It's all around us. Okay. And so it's like she said, there's a thin line between love and hate. That's this law. Someone says, I love you, but I'm no longer in love with you. Same vibration, different ends of the spectrum. So the paradox for the law of polarity is that it is the same thing, but with opposite ends, right? It's the exact same wavelength, but it is on opposite ends, okay? When we think about love, hate, good, bad, when we think about this, we must understand that we have an active choice in the law of polarity. We have an active choice in all of the laws, specifically the law of inspired action, but you certainly have a choice in the law of rhythm. You determine when your valley ends. You determine when your peak season starts. You determine when your low tides become high tides. You determine when you reign and how much wealth and all this stuff you bring in. We determine that. We determine that. So the valley season that we choose to keep, and we talked about this early, when there are limitations that we have, that we choose to provide excuses for, that we choose to provide reasons for why we should keep them, the universe will not take them from us. The universe is indifferent about what we choose to keep because there are laws. There are laws that help us understand our power here. Okay. So when we're looking at this and when we're trying to understand all of these different pieces, right? We want to make sure that we understand. And she said, yes, I've experienced it, Lord of mercy. Yeah, I think we all have. Like, that was cute at first, but I don't think I like the way they do that thing, right? It could be the very thing that you fell in love with that you absolutely despise later on, right? And so, but we have a choice in the action concerning which side of the polar opposites that we have. There is no such thing in the universe as a single pole. So, hear me good on this. Hear me good on this. There is no such thing in the universe as a single pole. Here's what I mean by that. People might say, how many of you have heard someone say, why can't we all just get along? Why can't we all just live in peace and harmony? Right? Say me or put your hand up in the comments. Have you ever heard people say that? Why can't we all just get along? Why can't there just be peace? Why can't there just be all good all the time? Right? as long as there is, right? And some of us may be the ones that desire peace. Hey, Mr. Level Up. Some of us may be the ones that desire peace. And it doesn't mean that we don't have an active role in creating the peace that we desire. But when we're talking about the universal law of polarity, right? When we're talking about the universal law of polarity says there can never be one pole. There will never be all good all the time. There will always be the potential of its opposite. There will always be the potential of its opposite. Now, we as human beings determine what we call good, bad, evil, nice, mean. We create these words, we create these vibrations, we create these truths, but to the universe, everything is neutral. There is always the potential for the opposite of a thing. Hear me good on this. Because if you're someone that is consistently facing challenges, you decide when that valley season ends. You decide. But let me tell you, also remember this. Because we have the potential to do the opposite, that same potential that you see for people to mistreat people because of their skin color, that same potential for what we think is mean and evil and unfair and unjust, that same potential is the potential that raises up in you when your life needs to be saved. That is the same potential that raises up in you to protect your children. That is the same potential that raises up in you to preserve your health. That's the fight in all of us. We must have the potential of the opposite, lest we won't survive as a human race. We absolutely must have it. Now, what we choose to do with the potential of the opposite of good is up to us. It is up to us. Just like with every single law that we've gone over and how we talk about taking inspired action, this law of polarity states that yes, there is a potential to do very, very well and be all good. But there is also the potential to have a significant number of challenges. But we also know that through the law of correspondence, we wouldn't be receiving these challenges. You're not being tested. You're getting mirrored back what you expect. You're getting mirrored back always what you expect. Okay. One of the books by, there's a book called The Science of Getting Rich. It's one of my favorite books. Love The Science of Getting Rich, right? The Science of Getting Rich. And it's by Wallace D. Wattles. I love anything by Wallace D. Wattles. He has the science of being successful, the science of getting rich, the science of being powerful, all of these different things. And in this book, one of the things that he states is that not only do we have to be too big for our place, but we have to understand that we're always going to receive the thing that we have prepared for. So if you think success, if you think wealth, if you think health, and you never go to the gym, you never learn anything new about money, you never do anything to preserve your finances, right? How then can we attract in those things, right? Man, woman will always receive the thing that he or she has prepared for, right? If we are someone that wants a loving, divine partnership, and we're not open to sharing, we don't like being affectionate, we don't really care about what anybody else's needs are, right? We are more selfish than we need to be. How then can any form of a divine union, togetherness, be drawn into us? We will always get the thing that we have prepared for, not the thing that we desire and we constantly ask for. Okay. And so the law of polarity states that this is the law that governs that, right? The law of polarity is the law that governs that. And so when we're looking at this, we have to take an active choice to move between poles. So if you're in a space that you find challenging, know that there's bliss on the other end of that challenging, that there's ease, there's grace on the opposite pole of something being challenging. There is a way for us to move between these poles to get the life that we desire. And so if the law of rhythm is the pendulum, remember we talked about the law of rhythm. Law of rhythm, if you don't know, is the law of rhythm govern things that just keep going on and on and on. It governs the cycles of the universe, right? So winter, spring, summer, fall never changes. We're not skipping winter. Wherever you live, if winter shows up every year, it's coming this year, right? Anything that happens on the universe, winter, spring, summer, fall, seasons, high tide, low tides concerning the ocean, the sun coming up and going down, the moon coming up and going down. The moon is not going to skip a night. The sun is not going to skip coming out tomorrow. It's going to come out. As long as all of us are here and alive to witness it, it's going to be in the sky. That might be behind some clouds, depending on where you're located, but that is the law of rhythm. Law of rhythm is the things that happen over and over and over again without change, without fail. It is cyclical, right? When we're looking at the law of rhythm in tandem with the law of polarity, the law of polarity is the extreme sides of the law of rhythm. So if the law of rhythm was a pendulum that swung back and forth, and if you've never seen a pendulum when you started, it swings the same distance both ways. It doesn't swing more one way than it does the other way, right? So when it swings back and forward, it's an equal distance from the middle for on both sides. And so when we're looking at the law of polarity concerning this, the law of polarity would be those extreme sides of the pendulum and where that pendulum is. And so when we're looking at this and we're looking at what it is we're trying to manifest and how we move between poles, understand that there must be a disruption of the currents. Hey, Sunflower, thank you for joining us. There must be a disruption of the currents in order for these things to happen consistently for us, right? And so when you're one of the things that you can do, so say for example, if the pendulum is swinging for you and it's far left and you got a lot of challenges, just know when it goes far right, you're going to have a lot of abundance, but you have to continue to put in consistent action. We didn't say hard work. That's the misconception on this planet, is that hard work raises your use value or puts you further ahead than anyone else. It does not, right? Universal law says that working hard doesn't raise your use value. You're just working hard, right? And that challenges, right? That hard times, sometimes somehow we feel like hard times are a rite of passage. They are not. They are only what you've prepared for. You can only get mirrored back and experience what you've prepared for, right? It doesn't have to be your rite of passage. If that's how you choose to learn and how you express your highest self, by being able to show that you can get beyond all of these issues and all of this trauma and all of these things, then certainly you can have that experience here on earth as a human being. That experience is always available, right? And a lot of people get in line for that experience when they really can have a lot of ease and grace in the things that they do, right? In how they manifest things. And so, what we want to understand about the law of polarity when it comes to universal laws is that besides that pendulum being on the extreme ends for the law of polarity, when we're on the side that we feel like we are getting what we want with ease and grace and effortlessly, on that side, we need to start paying it forward. On that side, you want to do good for other people. This keeps the pendulum going that way and going further into the extreme side for you, so that when you're manifesting, you're consistently, continuously manifesting over and over and over again the exact thing that you want, because you're at that vibration. So when you are vividly out picturing the thing that you want, and you finally start to get into the energy of manifesting that thing. And if you have not watched the How to Manifest Anything Now series, it is over on YouTube on the Legacy Holistic Health channel. And you can binge watch all 7 of those, the phases, the levels and phases of manifesting, to see where you're getting hung up if you're not getting what you want. But one of the things we want to be aware of here is that when you do get what you want, when you're getting the evidence that you're in what we call phase 3. When your order is about to come out, they've cleared the table. Exactly what you wanted is coming to you. You're preparing for it, and they're rushing to get this order to you. When that starts to happen, right, we want to start paying it forward. Want to start paying it forward. And remember, we covered this. We covered this when we talked about manifesting. Remember, I told you guys that in phase 3 is the giving phase. Phase 3 is also known as the donate stuff, get rid of stuff, make a hole. Make a hole for the universe to fill it. The law of polarity, it states that when you do that, more, you go further to the extreme of manifestation. You go even further to perpetually bring in the things that you're looking to manifest. So as soon as you know that what you're receiving is coming and you've got the evidence of it and it's here, start giving stuff away. Make room for the new. Make room for the new, right? Because then quantum physics says you have not lost anything. For those people who feel like I can't part with something, it makes more urgent your request. The universe is like, oh my God, we were bringing you something, but now there's a gaping hole. Double time, overtime, bring it to her, bring it to him. Pour out the blessings on them now to fill up the space. Not only that, remember, we stated during that series that what we release fills a hole somewhere else. So you tell the universe, I understand how this works. I understand that I'm a part of divine design and I play a role and I keep a thing for a time and then I release it for someone else to enjoy it. And then I am able to draw in with haste my next best place, the next best thing for me. The law of polarity confirms this when we're talking about universal law. And like I said, where you find people with massive success, they naturally live in this law. They are natural givers. They are natural people who don't hold on to things, right? They don't feel the need to hold on to things because they understand that the world is always advancing and something greater is always being created, right? And we are here to fill up our space so that then we can be pulled or moved to another space as an advancing man or woman. We're here to evolve on this planet, right? And so it says the universe does not perceive good or bad. I know if you're on here and like you're religious and you see heaven and hell and you think of these polar opposites, or when you think of opposites, you naturally think that's good, that's bad, that's evil, that's nice, or you think of these dualities, right? Although the universe embraces the polar opposites and the dualities, it is not concerned about whether something is hard or easy, right? It is not concerned about whether something is or someone is good or bad. Those are human created things based on how we vibrate and the words we are taught to associate. The things you can teach a person to associate a blue sky and a sunny day with a bad day. That's a human thing. We can teach people to associate the greatest things in the world with something that is bad. We can teach that. A person can be taught that. Likewise, and we see it all the time with wars, a person can be taught that genocide and things like that somehow are good, somehow are beneficial, somehow are powerful, when we know that it brings detriment, or so we perceive it as something detrimental, right? But in the grand scheme of these things, the universe doesn't see these things as good or bad. It doesn't judge these things as evil or nice, right? It doesn't have this kind of concept. It sees everything as neutral. These concepts have no place in nature. A plant is not good or bad, even if it is poisonous. A plant is not good or bad, right? When we're talking about things in nature and how the universe operates, it doesn't see duality. All it sees is neutrality, right? And so we want to make sure that we understand this when we're looking at the law of polarity. And so One of the things I want to state is that when we're talking about brain cells and our thought processes to move between poles. So if you're on here and you're someone that says, I'm on the opposite side of where I want to be, how can I move to the other side of this pole? If I'm on the negative side, where's my polar opposite? How can I move to the polar opposite? Well, brain cells that fire together wire together. Put that in the comments. Brain cells that fire together wire together. Brain cells that fire together wire together. Okay? Put that in the comments. The reason you want to understand how this concept works is because when you think towards the thing, you act as if you think towards the thing that you want to be or become or accomplish. When you put your thought processes towards this thing in your brain, you start to wire a new pathway. Remember, I told you you have to disrupt the currents of whatever your situation is. You have to rewire, right? So there's brain cells that fire together, baby, they wire together. They wire together. And so over time, these brain cells begin to start to create a pathway that creates your new default, that creates your new default pole. So say for example, if your pole was negative, or what you saw or what you felt or what you're feeling right now is in a state that you know doesn't feel comfortable for you. It's not conducive to the things that you're attempting to manifest right now in your life. And so when we're looking at trying to move poles, move to the opposite end of where we are, we must begin visualization. We must begin to visualize that, because as these brain cells fire off in visualization, they're not only just firing off thought processes, right? Putting in orders to the universe, but they are hardwiring us to assume that the thing that we want or the pole that we're trying to get to, the area that we're trying to get to, it is assuming that this is our default. It is rewiring our brain to say, this is where I naturally live. This is what I naturally think about. This is who I naturally am, right? And once we tell our brain this, we start forming these new neural networks that allows us to settle into and reseed our subconscious minds with the thought of the thing that we're trying to manifest. Okay. And so repetition of affirmations and thoughts cause this to become our default pathway. Repetition causes this to be our default pathway that the brain takes on, and it says, this is my new normal. And we start to manifest out of this new normal. Okay. Now, before we hop off, I do want to talk a little bit about how this affects our health, wealth, our destiny, and some things we want to start to do. When you're in the process of deciding what your health is going to look like, what your wealth, and we've talked a lot, I think, about how to start to shift things that are happening in your family, how to start to get access to raise your use value in health, wellness, and destiny concerning your family, right? And so when we're talking about the pathway to be able to get this done or to do this, we're talking about things that are so simple, you guys. Things that are so simple: visualization, journaling about your future. You should be writing or journaling. Words have so much supercharged energy on them. You should be writing something every day about what you desire, even if it's just 5 minutes of writing about how you intend for that day to go. We should be writing something every day about what we want to manifest, what we want to encounter, what's changing for us. Every day, something should go forth in our writing. We should be casting spells to the universe, spelling the things that we desire every day. We should also be sitting in visualization, meditation every day. We should be letting our brain cells fire together with visualization every single day, even if it's just 2 to 7 minutes, you guys, to visualize and journal what you saw. And then start to act as if. Catch yourself if you're having a thought process with an old neural pathway. Because remember, a new one still has to be laid for all of us. Make a list of the things that you desire on one side of a sheet of paper. And on the other side, I want you to write the opposite of each of those things. Not what you want, but I want you to write the polar opposite of that thing. And then here's what I want you to do. I want you to do a vibrational test. And I want you to be honest with yourself. We can't lie. I mean, we have the law of correspondence. I mean, if what you're putting out is not being mirrored back to you, we can't lie. So I want you to be honest with yourself and do a vibrational test with this list that you create. I want you to look at the side that has the things that you currently are. And then I want you to look at the side that has the things that you want, or the things that are the polar opposite of those things, right? And then I want you to determine which one feels at home to you. When you think about one thing versus the other thing, which one feels the easiest to you? Which one feels the most, does your energy feel the most attracted to? Which one has the most resistance? Is it the side you're trying to manifest? Because this is going to show us where we're truly, where our vibration truly is. We can only get the thing that we prepare for. And we will more than likely not take inspired action if we have fears, right? If we don't have unconditional love for ourselves, we will more than likely not honor these hunches and clues and downloads from the universe to take inspired action, right? And we will always get the thing that we prepared for. So when you make this list, I want you to do that vibrational test. I want you to check yourself to really see where you're vibrating at. I think everybody says, I want to be a millionaire. The bank only secures it and insures your money up to a certain amount. Where are you going to put the rest? What are you going to do with the rest of it? What's your next step for money? What is the next thing you need to learn about money? What are the next 4 industries you want to invest in? What is the next steps to get you to that 7 figures? What are the actions you've taken to move you towards those steps? Besides trying to sell something, there's a whole bunch more back of $1 million. People don't make $1 million on their own. They usually have a team, right? They usually have a team, right? And so we want to look at these things, right? We're going to get the thing we prepared for. We can't trick the universe into giving us something on a fluke. It will never happen. It will never happen. That's not how it works, right? It's never worked that way, right? We will get what we are vibrating at. So make your list, and I want you to determine which side of that list you feel most comfortable with. You may feel comfortable with one thing on one side and one thing compared to another thing on the other side, but I want you to get into perspective and be honest with yourself about it. Be honest with yourself. Don't try to hype yourself up to accept the side that you know you should want for yourself. But doing this assignment also shows us the worthiness, feeling like we are worthy of something, unconditional love. I told you guys the number one lesson that every single one of us wants to mirror back when we're talking about the law of correspondence is unconditional love for ourselves. That's the lesson that all of us have come here to get or to achieve, right? To be the opposite of our fear would be unconditional love for ourselves, right? And so really quickly before we hop off, make sure that you send love and light to someone in the comments. If you want the slides, and if you want the continued affirmations and different things, make sure you text #affirm to 404-738-6301. 404-738 6301. That will give you my direct contact information, and we can continue our conversation and talk back and forth if you like. Okay. But that is also where the link to the slides will be going out for those of you who are desiring that or wanting that. Now, before you hop off, make sure you send love and light to someone in this live stream. Um, Make sure you send love and light to someone in the live stream. Listen, it's always, always, always a pleasure sharing time and space with every single one of you. If you catch this replay or if you're looking at any of this content, just know this content is timeless. If you find it 10 years later, there's still something in here that you're going to look at completely differently based on your experiences and the things that the universe is trying to share with you. Love and light to you, sunflower seed. I think that's what it says, sunflower seed. And so they said, I'm gonna run to the comments real quick before I hop off because I think there were some really good things in here. Okay, love you, but I'm no longer in love with you. Yes. She says, yes, Ivan. Okay, good deal. And she says, sorry, I don't know why my name shows from time to time. Yeah, I don't know why, Kiki. I don't know why it does it. I think you have to register. She says the devil is an angel. There you go. She says you create the mindset and energy within yourself and your surroundings. We absolutely do. Hey, Kara Chanel, thank you for being here. Someone else says they call that polar opposite the alter ego. Absolutely. Someone said, she says, I recall vividly telling my pastor, why did I feel like I was Jobetta? He said, you do know what happened at the end of the book of Job, right? Right. That's hilarious. She says, somebody says, paying forward is an all-time thing, manifestation or not. I believe. I agree with you. You should be paying it forward. Brain cells that fire together, wire together. That's right. They absolutely do. Okay. She says, I know who I am now and who I really, really want to be. Awesome. Awesome. Love and light to you. Thank you so much, Kiki. Love and light to you as well. Love and light to every single one of you on here. She says, blessings, love and light to all those present in mind and in spirit. All right, you guys, listen, have an incredible night. Have a powerful week ahead. Tomorrow is the last day of universal laws. And then we will cover, I'll probably put out a poll at legacywellnesstribe.com for you guys to decide what the next series is going to be on. We could do the 9 dimensions, but there's several other things that we can talk about. Several other things that we can go through, like the energetics of food, epigenetics. There's a lot of stuff that we can discover, and a lot of metaphysical things that can be taught as well. So I will put that poll in the Legacy Wellness Tribe at legacywellnesstribe.com. She says, really quickly, can you explain paying it forward? So I said, and this is on IG. So I said, when you are in an abundance season is when you pay it forward to stay on that polar side of things concerning the law of polarity. Okay. So when you find that God, the universe, infinite intelligence is starting to allow you to manifest things, you want to keep that pendulum on that side. And in order to do that, you pay it forward. One of the easiest ways to do that is to make a whole. You make a whole by giving things away. Donate things that no longer serve you. Donate things that you know are of no use value to you. And know that giving these things away fills a need or fills a hole somewhere else. It confirms that you are part of divine design and you understand how it works. Let me know that answered your question, Sunflower. All right, Kenyatta says, love and light to everyone. Someone says, how about something that can implement children to understand and follow? Let me think about that. Let me think about that. All right, you guys, listen. Absolute pleasure. Have an incredible night. Love and light, everybody.